Mike Gill, State of Corruption. We got a big date today. This video we're going to call Checkmate. No kidding. Now this is my first stop. My second stop's going to be with the FBI in Bedford. Right. This is the governor, Chris Sununu. We're going to give him all the evidence that we gave the FBI. We've got him on television. It's coming from Lawrence. He knows exactly where it's coming from. His control of the banking department. Remember? Little corruption, Jerry Little? His daddy appointed him 20 years ago. Now he made him the banking commission. We get into the banking commission, you get into the drug laundering, the laundering of the money. He knows that too. So we're going to lay this evidence on him. And then we're going to go to the FBI. We're going to go to the FBI with the evidence that we have given them. Now I turn around and show what they've done. Is Chris here? The governor, yeah. Oh, I have some evidence for him. What is it?
Okay. I can take it from you if you want.
I wrote the governor. My name's Mike Gill, as he well knows. I heard him speaking about the drugs coming out of Lawrence. Well, I told him the banking commission had been laundering all the drugs. Now he knows that. He appointed Little. This information here will also indicate 3 attempts on my life. What you'll hear here is a hitman explaining that Bill Shaheen and Sequoias wanted me murdered. But you'll also hear about how the drug was getting in here. All right? This is the Banking Commission, the DRA, and the IRS. So let them know that I called. I'll give him time to read through this information.
Stop by. Yes. Did you call separately?
I wrote him. He hasn't called back.
Okay.
But this is all the information the FBI comes. This is all the information I gave to President Trump. So my suggestion is you go through it carefully.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just before I go in there, the name of this video is Checkmate. Can I tell you a story? I was in 8th grade. Woodbury Junior High School in Salem, New Hampshire. Seems I've been getting detention almost every day for fighting. And then I went to the detention class, and the same teacher was always there, Mr. Zembrowski. Mr. Zembrowski one day asked everybody in detention, there was 4 of us, anybody play chess? I raised my hand. I played Mr. Zembrowski and beat him. Mr. Zembrowski leaned over the table and goes, "What are you doing in here with all these assholes?" I looked around, turned around, and each person that was there for fighting with me. Right. I hate bullies, and I love chess. I joined the chess team. Mr. Zembrowski turns out to coach the Salem High School team. And in fact, he took me to a tournament. Right. 500 guys. I was the last one. And what I'm telling you, this is a masterpiece. Let's go in. All right. I'm going to turn this evidence in to the FBI. In fact, we're going to give it to Mark Hassenbeck. What we gave them less than 2 weeks ago, we put them in check. We gave them the evidence. More importantly, we gave them the witnesses. Brian Toomey, missing. Dallas Hedrick, missing. Richard Head, out in California. Right. These are our witnesses. And there's many more. But that piece with the IRS is critical. And I'll tell you why. What we did by making them in danger, their king, Bill Shaheen. Right. We put him in danger. What did he do? He called his judges. Judge Anderson, his instructions, the DRA, the banking, Wiggins, and I just got something from a septic company. No house, no business, no money. Not stopping, right? These are the same people who offered me $50 million.
Let me get out of your way here.
Okay. Who offered me $50 million. You got it? We put their king in danger. Anderson comes to the rescue. That's financial leverage. Francois, family court. When I can turn over in family court with witnesses, but he put me in jail to be murdered. Hard to believe, right? Except for I have medical records that suggest otherwise. But we have that tape. The tape of the gentleman that called, who was to be hired as someone to murder me, who had connections with Autofair, had connections with these drug dealers. What happened was, I didn't record that call. Aaron Day copied that phone call. Wouldn't give me a tape. I threatened him to get that tape. He never did. You know who we gave that tape to? Bill Shaheen. Right, I had to go public with that tape because I was afraid of the witness. Now, Greg, you were there. When I asked Aaron Day for a copy of that tape, what did he say and how did he act?
He's completely paranoid. He didn't want you to turn over that evidence to the FBI, the DOJ, or anybody.
How about this? Not even a President Trump, particularly. I had my connections to give President Trump that information. He didn't want that to happen. I only got it from Eileen Landy, another one of our witnesses. She worked corruptly with Shaheen, and Shaheen the Francois. What you've got to understand now is this important. You ready? The IRS, the highest level, was orchestrated by Gene Shaheen. This could create an after effect throughout this country regarding the IRS. You can use that as a reason why this has to be investigated in each case, which is why it was so important. And they offered me $50 million, right? Let's not forget Judge Francois, a family court judge. The family court in this state is a nightmare, and I feel these people's pain. This is the guy trying to protect their biggest business, is your children. We put this judge in jail. We put Anderson in jail. We peel back the corruption throughout this state. You get Bill Shaheen. Now, how does Bill Shaheen do it? Controls the AG's office along with Walker. How he does it, he's a power broker. Anybody who comes into this state wants to get elected kisses his boots, and in return, they protect him. He was only Hillary Clinton's campaign manager. And if you think I'm about Democrats, Republicans, no. You're going to see a little piece that I delivered all the evidence that I gave these guys to Chris Sununu. Try to keep it brief, but I will keep your attention, I promise. Now, I haven't heard too many people who've been in the mortgage business sitting down and talking to you. So my name is Mike Hill, and I own the Mortgage Specialists. And I've owned them for 26 years. Now, we were the #1 broker, not just only in New Hampshire, but in the United States, multiple years. In addition, Fannie Mae has recognized me, and I've done their training videos. So you could say I'm an expert in the mortgage business. Now, Mr. Perlow, who recently resigned. You may remember I just called him a drug launderer. He didn't dispute that. He resigned instead. Mr. Perlow, we spoke, Mr. Pappas, you brought up primary bank. Mr. Sununu, you brought up FRM. Well, you know who reported the scandal of FRM to the AG's office? Well, that would be myself. Right, 2007. You know who I reported it to? Assistant Attorney General Perlow. Isn't that interesting? Now, Perlow, by the way, is an insurance defender for McLean Law Firm. Now, seeing that we've taken this time to find out making the proper choice, how did an insurance defender become our banking commission? Because he was covering up the crimes of FRM. The crimes of FRM are important because it brings you into the corruption in the banking department, right? For instance, Mr. Little sits right next to Kevin Abart. Kevin Abart is the one who sponsored the bill for FRM. Except for, if you remember, and I put it on stateofcorruption.org, if you're on notice, that I said the hearing was corrupted. And what did we have George Lambert, who worked with Mr. Abart on the bill, confessing on a radio interview with me, telling the victims of that to be quiet. In fact, Mr. Sununu, I talked to Mr. Abart, and Mr. Abart was putting together a complaint along with mine to the Department of Justice. You talked him out of it. In fact, you had him put it to the AG's office. Now think about this. Well, I have text messages from I have the text messages with me. In fact, his exact words was, Sununu smells blood in the water. And when we're done, you can read them to everybody if you'd like. And Mr. Abart is not that aware for him, Mr. Sununu. And then Mr. Sununu, then you called Harry Bean the same day. I spoke to Harry. He said that you guaranteed him that Mr. Head wouldn't have a position on this council. Right? Harry Bean said that on the same day. No, I have those text messages. So this is a power play here. So now remember now, so Kevin Abart with FRM. What happened with FRM? Hildreth, the banking department, own brothers were on the Ponzi scheme. I reported it to Perlow.
You're going to make the nexus to Jerry Little, right?
Excuse me?
You're going to make the nexus.
Oh, this is what Mr. Little was with Mr. Abart and putting FRM complaint together. See, there's the move. So what happened? They canceled the hearing now, didn't they? They didn't make a decision on that. And this is the reason why. That isn't the way to the banking department. What's happening is the banking department in Perlow is protecting the crop, which involves the drug launderers. Granite State Credit Union, I called them up. Furley, Florida, who was the assistant banking commissioner during FRM, who became the banking commissioner afterwards, was accused of not going after and protecting the people. We just made him the CFO of Granite State Credit Union. Primary bank, front page of the Union Leader, right? They're not going to sue me. I just called them drug dealers. You know them, right, Mr. Pappas? In fact, you're friends with Mr. Angos, aren't you? Exactly. See what I'm saying? So they are protecting them. They're not federally audited. They're state audited. That's why. That's the secrets in the state comes out in there. And so the drug launderers are putting their money primary bank. They're not being audited. They're being audited. So it's an associate, been friends of you for quite a few years, hasn't he? Right. See, here's the move. Control the banking department. You control the silence of the people in this state. What I'm saying is, simply put, have an investigation with the Department of Justice. Now, I just received 87 complaints back from the Department of Justice that it is being investigated. The DEA has known for 6 years that these are individuals that are involved in the corruption. So the banking department, that's what we're going on right now. Mr. Perlow leaves the minute I call him a drug launderer. Now let's think about this. Kakavas, who was the prosecutor of FRM, right? His business partner, Mark Howard, represented FRM. He was his business partner months before. Nobody noticed? How about the appraisers? They only had 9 to 10 appraisers on each house. Where did they go to jail? Where did the lawyers go to jail in closing them? They were covering for Sununu. Sununu is part of that Ponzi scheme. And that's why, that's Shaheen. We're right about the rest of you. And if you'd like to see the text messages, oh, right. So you didn't text Mr. Abart. You didn't talk about FRM women, did you? Right. So we do have the evidence, and it is with the Department of Justice. And I demand that this committee has to review this. Has to go into it. Go and investigate those banks. Listen, did you notice the drug dealers didn't want to sue me? Call me a drug dealer to see if I don't sue you. Right? And everything I'm saying about you and you, I can verify. Right? That's the play. There's no mistakes here. An insurance defender is the banking commissioner. Listen, I have fault consent orders from these people. They've offered me $15 million to be quiet. Now, I have that. I put it on the internet. You'd like to see it, Mr. Sununu? Would you like to see it? No, I didn't think so. So it's all there. Liberty International. Right. All I have to do is be quiet. But they're protecting the people that are killing our children. They own the treatment center. This is involved. This is the laundering of that money. Any questions? I didn't think so. And the tool that I have in...
I have a question.
Go ahead.
You made 80% of your argument towards the FRM. We're here with a public testimony.
Did you hear drug dealers too?
No.
Did you hear money laundering?
I know all about drug dealing. I've in a previous life.
Really? Did you know they're laundering?
But I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
You mentioned very little about the candidate before us today.
The candidate was working with Avard on the false. This was the deal with the bill. Lambert worked with the victims. Told the victims not to say anything. It's on the radio. He confessed, right? And oh, did you shrug? Did you want to look at the radio show? So this is what happened. They talked to those victims. Little worked with Avard on this. There you go. How's that? And then they didn't tell me why it didn't go to the Department of Justice. I can put the complaint on it. He's saying it was all a scam. The state senator who sponsored the bill. Now, I did get it to the Department of Justice. What did we ask him? So it is directly related. So if Mr. Little worked with Avard on the bill, FRM bill, that turned out to be a scam, they were trying to have the victims take pennies so they wouldn't investigate the banking commissioner. That's a fact. We did it on Gronk Talk on the radio. Lambert confessed. He was getting 20% for the victims. So does that answer your question?
No, but I'll take it.
Well, then you just didn't understand. Here.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
Further questions?
I didn't think so. And the tool in my box is a hammer. Thank you.
And a big screen TV. Thank you. You're welcome. Council, soon you wish to respond?
Oh, no. No, I'm not responding.
Just ask.
You want to see those text messages.
Just ask.
This shit about Lawrence and all the drugs coming in, he's protecting them with the banking commissioner. Right. Let's audit the banking department. Is that okay? Right. So let's knock on these doors. But these movements of these judges is coordinated. That means it's RICO, organized crime. And they're only this desperate because we put them in that position. Now, let's give this. Mike Gill with some more evidence. See? This is checkmate. We get the judges in corruption. We get a RICO charge against all of them. How's that for playing chess? Hello? Mike Gill. No, we did see somebody come out, right? FBI agent?
No, never.
You have a chance to be an honest man then. Yes, Mike Gill here. I'm dropping off some evidence.
Hi, Mr. Gill. If you could please make sure the cameraman turns off the camera.
Absolutely.
You have to set it down outside before you even open the door.
We'll do that.
Actually,
guess what? That door never opened. We shut that camera off, that door never opened. They told us they wouldn't take the evidence. Right? After taking the other evidence, they knew this was checkmate. Right? Mark Hassenbacher, the FBI are covering for Bill Shaheen. Most of these guys are local cops. They knew what we had, and they knew this was a death blow. President Trump, are you watching? Remember, back in and out. You saw them open the door. What they told us was that if we tried to give them this evidence, they would mail us the other evidence back. Because they know that this discriminates Bill Shaheen as in organized crime through judges throughout this state. Right? And departments in this state. This is the level of corruption, and that's why that door didn't open. Think about this. If that evidence didn't prove the corruption, that door would have swung open with open arms saying, hey, all of this is disproved. None of it is. And it is a cover-up. And it is because it could finish these people. President Trump, it's up to you now. Mike Gill, state of corruption. You know who doesn't believe in corruption? The corrupt. Right. Why can't you have one politician, other than me and Aaron Day, turn around and say, there's corruption in this state? Ask any politician. They won't even give you an answer. They won't tell you there is, and they won't tell you they're not. Well, I have. Right? You're going to see that I'm engaged with the criminals that run this state. I'm engaged right now with the drug dealers that are in this state. The crooked politicians that run this state. We're engaged. and you get to see who they really are. Now, we have a hearing with Shaheen and Gordon, Griner, Anagos, and Cruz. There are your principles. Now, you're going to hear Steve Gordon from Shaheen Gordon argue that all those situations that I said, all the people that I said were guilty, that I was lying, fabricating it. In fact, he used the word preposterous. In fact, I'm going to now have you hear his own words.
Mr. Gill made statements, false statements, in fact, accusing the firm, Bill Shaheen, Senator Shaheen, along with a host of other law firms and public officials of criminal conduct. Because he made these false statements accusing the firm of engaging in criminal conduct, it is his position that we have an interest in the litigation and thus should be disqualified. That proposition is simply preposterous.
Preposterous. Well, one of us are lying. Either I'm a liar or Steve Gordon is. One of us is not telling you the truth. He's saying I'm telling you senators are corrupt, banking commissions are corrupt. I'm even saying Bill Shaheen and Gordon is corrupt. There's got to be something wrong with me, right? Well, what if we have evidence right here? Not just evidence, absolute evidence. You know, an admission of guilt. Let's go over shortly who's on it, all right? But let's start by saying the representative of the corrupt was Bob Curley from Curley and Curley. He's representing Morris Mahoney. And Morris Mahoney was representing all the other law firms, the AG's office, the banking department, the IRS, Divine Mill, all of those. Okay? So let's get the picture. These are all the people that says, Mike Gill's crazy. Right? Can't be true. If what he's saying is true, it means we're all corrupt. Now, I told you I refused $50 million. Now, we're going to attach all these documents to this video. It says my client is willing to settle this matter for $50 million. I'm good with the money. But there are a number of conditions attached to the settlement, however. If the first condition is not agreed upon, all the parties remain moot. Meaning, I got conditions. Meaning, I'm not going to leave this state in charge of criminals. And I'm not going to turn my back on the people of this state for any amount of money. Now, this is in writing, and you get a copy. Well, once you agree to this, then you go into another document. See? Right here. You will see this is attachment. This is the physical release. These are the initial disclosure of defendants of Morris Mahoney. Persons of Morris Mahoney may use to support their claims and protect them. Okay, so here's a list of names that are asking for a release. Now I remind you, they wanted to make you think these are ancient times. This is dated July 26, 13. Right. Now also is the confidentiality agreement that goes with it. Meaning, if I agree to this, I can't even tell Jesus what's going on, what these criminals have done. Right? They all got their names on it. So let's go over the list. Mike Gill's lying, he said, right? Is that what you said, Steve Gordon? Well, let's take a look on the list. Sarah Gill's on the list. Just happens to be my ex-wife. Now, didn't I tell you they took advantage of her? Right. Steve Tober, he's on the list. Maybe you remind you that I told you that he was corrupt. He was my wife's attorney. He was the one getting him through statutes of limitations. He wants a release. Jim 10, my divorce attorney from 10 and 10, right? New Hampshire Bar President. Right. He wants a release. Dave Dupree. He was my lawyer too, from McLean Law Firm. Remember I told you how corrupt McLean is and in control? Well, they want a release. Wow. Tim Coughlin, another divorce attorney. Now, what is it with all these that they want a release from all criminal wrongdoing? Well, let's see how. Matt Kozel, the ex's attorney, Ronna Wise. She was her attorney too. Remember I told you they destroyed the records? Well, there they are. What would they want a release from if they didn't destroy the mental health records? Alex Walker, the guy suing me, who I said tried to murder me. Well, he wanted a release. He was the president of Divine Millimat. Dallas Sedgwick, another one of my attorneys, who went and told me what was going on and is in hiding in Oklahoma. She wants a release. Remember, I want you to remember the words of Steve Gordon. Preposterous. Well, let's go on. Jonathan Ross. Maybe you remember the You Be the Jury. These are the same times that Judge McHugh kicked the whole thing out. Asked the jurors to leave because I was kicking his ass. Right. And now they're trying to take my house off a 1 month bill, right, on criminality. Well, Jonathan Ross wants a release. Henry Hyder, another attorney that I told you Walker extorted. He wants a release. Maria Pursuto, the same woman who's so worried about her life, who called the state of New Hampshire and the officials in New Hampshire evil. She needs a release. Bob Jutras, another one of my divorce attorneys, whose job was to get him through statutes of limitations. He wants a release. Listen, I'm not making all this up. This is signed, by the way, too. Let's keep going on. Maurice Gilbert worked for Divine Millimat, the DRA. Didn't I tell you he was corrupt? Go back to all my videos. Now, I remind you, too, we found this 2 weeks ago in one of our ex-attorney's computer. I was never meant to see this after I told him to go stuff it. John Sparkman, the VP of Divine Millimat. Larry Schwartz, only the accountant on the tax returns that I told you was forged. Grant Thornton, who took the company over, who knew it was criminal. Lisa Tracy. Now, why would Lisa Tracy want a release if what I wasn't saying was true? Right? Don't forget Lisa Tracy. Do you know the case with Shaheen and Gordon in front of the judge? His recusal was Rosenberg. Who do you think Lisa Tracy's attorney was? Rosenberg. They needed someone to trust to leverage Lisa for the silence of Shaheen and Gordon. Right. You see these text messages right here? Remember the ones that threatened my kids' lives? This is Ted Little. You see an email between Ted Little in 2013 and Shaheen and Gordon, Nolan, trying to get the evidence that he said in the text that they destroyed. What if I can tell you showed legal documents about your divorce you have never seen before? This is the same guy who was requesting the files from Shaheen and Gordon. This is why they're protecting their own criminality. Ranging from Mr. Walker to your ex to Lisa Tracy to the attorney that represented her and Jim. So the person that worked for me asking the files that they destroyed is also telling me in text messages that he's afraid for his life and that he can give me this. The same guy he can give me is the same recusal for the judge. Okay, let's go on. We've got more names. Preposterous, remember? Tony Aguirre, another attorney. There was a mole. Tim Powell. Wow, wait a minute. Tim Powell's only an IRS agent. Remember the same one that everybody thought was crazy, saying, what, the IRS? That's right, they use the IRS and leverage them. That's what Shaheen does. And that's why Tim Powell of the IRS wants his release. Dr. Prasad. Remember the therapist that I said had the records? Well, why does he want one if they didn't know they were destroyed? R.P. Saunders. Uh-oh. You know where R.P.'s from? Shaheen and Gordon. Right, who corrupted the divorce, who leveraged for the $100,000. This was Bill Shaheen's boy. Tom McMillan, another attorney. Rob Fitzgerald. He was only the computer expert. Remember I said they were getting into my files? Who do you think was breaking in? Friedman. John Friedman's the only one that I said in deposition. He said the banking commission was the most corrupt he's ever seen. Right? So was he. He wants a release. Little. You know who Ted Little is? The text master who is afraid for his children's life. He wants one too. Donald Smith, the lawyer from Wiggins. Jerry Edelton, lawyer from Wiggins. James Filler, IRS. Tom Roberts, IRS. Wow, Marissa DeLinks, the lawyer for Dollar Sedgwick. I mean, we're into, what, 3 generations, 4 generations of corruption. I guess if this don't work, who's left? I don't know. We're fighting Gordon and Bill Shaheen now. I think the only ones left might be Satan. Nick Alexander, Eric Renner, my attorneys for Morris Mahoney. Mark Hartley. He's the top guy at Morris Mahoney. He wants a release. But I want you to pay particular attention to the next 10 entities. Right here. Okay? So I just gave you a bunch of lawyers and so forth. And politicians. Williams and Conley. The whole company wants a release. Their accountant firm. Divine Millimat. Wait a minute. Walker, the guy suing me, they want a release. Wiggins and Norrie, the same people take them out, they want a release. The Internal Revenue Service. Hold on. The IRS wants a release from me. Now, when I told you they were covering up, they had a mole in the company, that was hard to believe. Even when you heard them on the phone, forgetting to hang up, saying there was a mole, they want a release. New Hampshire Banking Department. Uh-oh. What did we say what they were doing? Only money laundering and protecting the drug dealers. Then tell me why they want a release. The New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration. You know, the ones who's been leveraging me for my silence for over, what, 12, 14 years? They want a release. You see what I'm saying here? Now I want you to notice this one last name that I've been saving for you. And that is Bill Shaheen. Bill, you want a release. You and RP. And that goes to 2013. So it isn't all that long ago. Right? Here you are here, Bill. William Shaheen wants a release in 13. July of 13. All right? So here you go. So boys and girls, I want you to see this too. Ready? This is signed by them. Here is the disclosure that they wanted me to sign and you didn't see me sign because I didn't sell you out. You see the people on that name? On that page? That should tell you the level of the risk that we have in this state. That is a signed confession. They just couldn't imagine someone would say, stuff 50 million. Well, here's the evidence. And they signed it, boys and girls. We found it in one of the attorney's computers. There's no doubt. And there's no doubt that Shaheen and Gordon are trying to cover this up. That was in 13. I've been fighting these guys for over 10 years. We are right in our sights. We have them exposed. I am telling you there's a cross current going on in this state right now that we have got to stand up and fight together. Thank you.